listen, in doing this presentation, we learned a couple things. I learned a couple things about ourselves. One, even though we speak a lot in front of realtors and people that are trying to buy houses, it's the first time that we really speak in front of our peers, especially people that we respect and we admire. And in doing so, a couple things came to mind. One, the best value that we can bring, it's one, being super real with you guys, and also what we call is sharing our lessons without the scars. The second thing I learned is we've collected a lot of scars over the past 2 years. We've gotten our butts kicked, especially him. Big time. But the one thing that we've been somehow able to figure out is holding margins and running a profitable branch. So we're going to take you to the journey of all those lessons that we had to learn, and sometimes we had to learn it over and over and over again, because I also learned that we're not that smart. And to start this, the guy that's taken the more punches that I met, Scott Digregorio, is my friend, he's my mentor. He likes when I call him my North Star, I don't know why. So Scott Digregorio, take it.
Thank you. You know, I joined NEO in April of 2022, and probably I'm not alone in saying this, that leading up to that moment, RG was a bit of an icon to me, right? Somebody who I would trust and follow, and always articulate, always well put together. And Ryan, don't let this stuff go to your head. Now we're friends, so it's I know the real now, but he's flawed like the rest of us, everybody. But I remember early on, I was on an all-NEO call, and Ryan said that we are about to walk into the toughest time in the mortgage industry, in the history of the mortgage industry. And I remember not feeling sad or scared. I remember being disappointed because the great Ryan Grant was wrong. You see, he might be right for California, but he's not right for Southwest Florida, because I survived 2008 at the epicenter of the housing crash. I survived 2008 at a time where my average loan amount went from $360,000 to, in 2009, it was 38 grand. At a time when the government was telling me that my value was based on loan amount. See, in Lee County, Florida, we went from 5,000 loan officers to 97, a 2% survival rate. So there's no way we're walking into the toughest time. I remember calling Jeanette Lee going, he's freaking wrong. There's no way, because here's what I knew. I'm too good, I'm doing this too long, I'm too well established, and the market can't take me out. But I was wrong.
Boom.
It sounded really good until my pipeline shrank from 30 to 15 to 10 to 5. And I knew that I survived 2008 by working hard. So I did what I did. I worked hard. But for the first time in my life, working hard wasn't working. And then I looked 30 minutes south to me. And the guy who I brought into this business, who I taught from day one everything he knows, was down 20, 30%, and I was down 85%.
I was still getting my ass kicked though. Now, my story doesn't start in 2008, because in 2008 I was just graduating from high school. This is me in 2016. So, look, I'm originally from Colombia. I lived in France for a while. That's where I grew up. And then I came to America with dreams of becoming a baseball player. I failed at that. Didn't work out. Then I said, okay, I'll become a doctor. No problem. I got a biochemistry degree. I failed at becoming a doctor. And I found myself as a loan officer. No idea what a loan officer really was. And terrified of failing again. Seriously. Just failure after failure after failure, and terrified of doing it again. So the only thing I knew was two things. I went to him, and I'm like, hey, you're the manager here, you're the top producer. What do I need to do to be successful in this? And he gave me great pieces of advice, which I thank you for that, and you'll see in a second. And the second thing I did was like, well, let me at least read something about this, because I learned for 4 years about the cell, which it's useless, you know, the mitochondria and all these things. Let me try to learn something useful. And I read this book, Fanatical Prospecting. Big fan of this book. I recommend it to everybody. But for you lazy people that don't want to read it, I'll give you the 3 takeaways from this book. Simple. Number 1, the number 1 reason for people to fail in sales is because of an empty pipeline. And the number 1 reason for an empty pipeline is lack of prospecting. Perfect. I'm a simple guy, so check, prospecting all the time. Number 2, there's only 3 things that I can control. My actions, my reactions, and my mindset. I can't control that Josh Maddow came in before me. That's okay. My actions, my reactions, and my mindset is, it's fine, he's not that tall anyways. And then number 3, prospecting sucks. It's like working out. It's like waking up at 4 a.m. like he says. Get over it. We just need to do it. So with all of this knowledge, after my 2 minutes in the industry, I came up with my master plan. Simple. Cold calling every single day, because I wasn't going to talk to people that I knew, because the people that I knew were just as broke as me, and posting videos in social media. Posting content in social media. I remember going to Scott's office, scared. Hey man, I have an idea. Oh, somebody's calling. I'm like, hey, I have an idea. How about everything that I'm learning that I think it's cool that I didn't know before, because I own a house, but I didn't know all these things, I just make a post about it. And come here. He looked at me and did this for the first time. He always does this to me with that shitty face in his face, and said, let me know how that works out, buddy.
I literally told him, I don't know what any of that means, but give it a shot and let me know how it works out for you.
He still does that to me when he thinks that my idea is terrible, but he still wants me to run with it anyways. So that was 2012, or 2016. 2012, I was still in college. 2022, I'm a little older, but still just as terrified. Why? Because I'm seeing this guy fail 20 minutes away from me. And that just means that it's coming for me. Because everything I'm doing is things that he taught me how to do. And the truth is, the real is, over the last 6 years, I didn't learn much. All I learned was this. How do you get people? You talk to people that you know, talk to people that you don't know, you put social media content, and you run paid ads. I wasn't going to run paid ads.
He's too cheap.
Because I'm financially conservative, which helps the branch. So with all that knowledge, again, 6 years of knowledge and 6 years of fear, because the truth is, I've been freaking terrified about failing because I didn't live through 2008, right? So I've been terrified about failing again for the past 6 years. I came up with my master plan part 2. Really bad plan, to be honest. Same thing, still cold calling, but now every day. Same thing that last time. Still social media posting, but now short forms. Why? Because instead of doing one video for 10 minutes, I can do 10 videos for 1 minute. Perfect. And then leveraging one-to-many. The only difference that I had this time is I had Neo. And Neo means I have all of you guys.
So, bro...
Stop. Neo means I have all of you guys. I have all of you guys' presentations. I have your game film that helps me and makes me better. What were you going to say?
Are you done bragging? Like, did mommy not hold you enough as a kid? I mean, we could set up a hugging booth in the back. Look, guys, let me share with everybody a more realistic journey for 2022, okay? I remember it was late summer of 2022, and a lot of you guys know my origin story, and for those of you that have heard that, you know how scared I am that one day my children are going to experience hunger the way I did. And I found myself in late summer 2022 facing a very difficult reality. And I needed to have a conversation I didn't want to have, but I needed to have it. And I got in the car one day, and I drove down to his office, and I walked in, and I said, bro, I got to have a conversation with you, man. He's like, yeah, what's up? I said, if I go out of business, will you hire me? That's where I was. It's where I was, okay? And I went home that day, and he joked around. He's like, well, you got to submit a desk profile, and we'll have Jeanette do a panel interview and see what I said do. No. But hi, D, what's up? But I went home, and I kept working hard, and I kept working hard, and I kept working hard, because here's what I understood. His plan was too simple. I had grown beyond that. I had evolved beyond the simpleton plan that he had. But the business didn't come in. It was the first couple days of December 2022, and it was bad. My P&L was a deep crimson red. My savings account looked like a zombie apocalypse had gone through it. And again, I was faced with the tough conversation I needed to have. So again, I found myself driving down to his freaking office. And I walked in there and I said, bro, what are you doing that I'm not? What am I doing that I shouldn't be? And what am I not doing that I should be? Because it was at this moment that the teacher had become the student and the student had become the teacher. And guys, I was terrified. I was terrified. And his answer was what I call a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Your answer pissed me off, bro.
Yeah.
Your answer pissed me off.
Let me know how that works out. The truth is, he comes to me, I'm afraid. I'm afraid because, again, to me, if I'm being real, we joke a lot and all that, but the truth is, my truth is, if he fails, I fail. That's it. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. I was just holding on for dear life. But I shared what I was doing because it better work for him because, you know, what I was doing was exactly the same sheet that he gave me when I started 6 years before. Same exact sheet. Now, not in Excel, but in Google Drive, which he still can't find, by the way. Can't open the Google Drive to save his life. But the same sheet. The sheet is simple. Super simple. Talk to realtors every day. Talk to clients every day. Set up appointments. Make sure that they make it to the appointments because we didn't, you know, I wasn't fancy enough for the financial advisors. Now I am. And post a bunch of videos and go to open houses here and there. And to his credit, he started doing the activities. And we started having Monday accountability meetings. And they worked.
So they worked. I remember the first day, I drove home from that meeting, and I'm not going to lie, I went to my house, I made myself a drink, and just had a pity party for myself. But a pity party with the commitment that I was going to wake up the next day and I was going to do the thing. And I woke up the next day and I went to work and I pulled out my cell phone and I swear to you, with a trembling hand, I made my first cold call.
I know he's now sending videos of him calling people, calling realtors and all that.
What's funny is when I started in this business, I made 240 calls a day, 6 days a week for 2 years. I started off this business with 133,000 phone calls. Out of the yellow pages, some of you people don't even know what the hell that is. All right? But here I am with trembling hands. I make the call, shockingly get a lead. But my Parkinson's doesn't go away. It takes 10 or 15 calls. Then I wake up on a Sunday and I got to do open houses because it's on the sheet and I'm not showing up on Monday to our accountability meeting and saying I didn't do it. And I found myself sitting outside a house, building up the courage to go inside. I had my flyers made and I finally walk in the door. And the agent looks up and goes, man, oh man, you know this market shifted if Scott Digregorio is standing in my open house on a Sunday. And guys, the hit to my pride, the hit to my ego, because this was an agent that didn't make in a year what I'm used to making in a paycheck.
2
And
years
there I
ago that
was.
happened, he still talks about that. It hurt his feelings so much that an agent made a comment. You know why? Because he hasn't done the thing for so long. See, when you're new, you get rejected all the time. And I was new 5 minutes ago. So to me, an agent making a stupid comment like that was just an everyday thing. You're over that now, right?
Not really.
The point of this was that it worked. This is the moment in the presentation where we start lifting
Oh,
the
this is the
spirits.
positive part?
Yes.
All right, check.
So it actually worked. And he did the thing, and we started doing the accountability meetings, and it worked. Now, my second answer was basically the same version of the posting content. But now this developed, and this has developed since, into what we call Content Day. Content Day is simple. It's 90 minutes, 20 agents, 80 videos, 2 months of follow-up, all for the beautiful price of $44 because we buy the cheapest champagne we can find. And trust me when I tell you, it works just the same as the expensive champagne. Look, I'm not a big fan of doing happy hours. Too expensive. I'm not a big fan of doing all these seminars and things like that. So what we created a class. This is a class, this is a happy hour, this is content, this is a lot of things wrapped into one where we go to the brokerages and we say, hey, we're going to invite 15 to 20 agents. They're going to come in. We're going to give them a 20-minute presentation. And then we're going to give them 15 scripts. They're going to pick 4 to 6 scripts each. We're going to be in every single video that we create with them, which is about 60 to 80 videos, depending on how many people show up and how good they are, really. That's going to have their logo in the back, and we have to be on every single one of their videos. Why? Because I'm going to tap into their audience. Because now, every time that somebody comments, likes, or shares that video, I get that comment, like, or share, and I can convert that lead for them because realtors don't know how to convert leads as well as I do. And we started doing that, and that started to take off. Some MSAs came out of this, and some people started to reach out to us out of this. So we were doing the thing. He was doing the calls and the activities. He was crying every Sunday, apparently, but it worked, and we were doing the content days. Now, this is the part where I suffered a little, because the real, my life, yes, you know, I was doing more loans, and I was only down 30%, I was kicking his butt again, but this is how I felt every day. The beautiful lady to my right, it's my wife. The beautiful lady to my left is my other wife, Jeanette Lee. And that handsome guy in the middle is me. Every single day going home, I felt like that. My wife pissed at me. She doesn't know I have any of the presentation, by the way. My wife really mad at me. Why? Because the truth is, I wasn't getting the best loans. Darcy's there. She knows that. It was tough at home. And Jeanette was mad at, Jeanette's always mad at me. She's always mad at, she's still mad at me. But back then she was mad at me because I was putting a lot of pressure on the whole organization because of the kind of loans that I was getting. I was getting loans, fine, but I was getting pretty bad loans. And I have to admit, Scott, after he stopped crying and he stopped feeling bad about himself and, you know, therapy and all these things, he actually showed up and started helping me out.
Look, what?
He came up with some good ideas. He showed up back in my life again. And when he showed up back in my life again, he dropped some, what do you call it, BOF?
BFO.
BFOs.
That's English is your third language moment
Keep
right
going,
there.
bro. Keep going.
Look, what I explained to him should have been obvious. And guys, this is such a key takeaway. How often can we not see the obvious shit in our lives because we're inside the middle of it? And I looked at him, I go, bro, I want your loans, I want your production, but I won't do your lifestyle. Your lifestyle sucks. And he's like, there's nothing I can do about it. I go, let's take a page out of Josh Metal's book and let's start talking about the right products. See, when Josh started doing doctor loans, there was no such friggin' thing as a physician loan. But he analyzed the guidelines and found a way to solve the unique challenges of that community. So, bro, instead of talking about fix and flips and DPAs and DSCRs, why don't we talk about FHA? Because FHA is going to help us increase our margin. It's going to help us leverage our time better because they don't take as much work. And all of that is going to lead to more profitability. And this was an absolutely key component to things that I had to teach him. And we made the change and it started to work.
I was focused on volume and activities and volume activities, and I believe that volume is a value in and of itself, but we needed some guidance. I didn't have guidance. We weren't being tactical enough with that. Now, another thing that he started to bring to the table, which was surprising to me, and this one hit me, is that I brought to him the concept of social media, but he actually started asking me, hey, bro, how do you come up with the videos? And I'm like, well, I just, ask the team or ask myself, well, what do I want to say? The problem is I was doing content for me, not for them. It was a content for me, but not for the actual audience that I wanted to talk to. So he came up with this simple concept of, hey man, if you want to do realtor videos or post something for realtors, why don't we ask the realtors? What? You can do that? And he's like, yeah, look at that. Hey realtors, I'm thinking about putting a video on this, and that, or I'm thinking about doing a class on this, and that. Are you guys interested? And we started getting 78 comments, 78 likes, people asking questions, people expressing their concern. And that's how we created the videos and the content that we were putting. People telling us what they wanted to hear about it. And then the other thing that he brought to the table when it came to social media was something that I still find very dorky of him, which is Facebook Lives.
Look, what my young friends here and so many people forget to keep on the front of their mind is that the first word in social media is social. And instead of talking at people, let's talk with people. Why am I going to spend time trying to think up a class and write it and make it perfect and do all this stuff and hope people are interested and hope people show up when I could just throw a post together saying, hey, realtors, would you attend a webinar on the 3 tricks to get listings in this market? And 59 people say yes. I now know this is worth my time. I now know this is what people are interested in. And I now have 59 people at least that are interested in going. So he forgot that we needed to engage with that. And the Facebook Lives was so simple to me. Look, I'm sure Barry consumes financial data at some level above me. He then has to water it down so a simpleton like me can follow it. I then take his stuff and water it down further so I can become the Barry of the people. And the Facebook Live is critical because whether they watch or not, I don't care. 5,000 phones light up every single day and say Scott Digregorio is going live on his Financial Chaos series. And that's the top of mind that I want. And then the final thing that I had to bring to him was we had to now leverage social media into classes, both live classes and webinars, because the speaking thing was the other piece that he was missing. And I have been on him from day one to speak. And look, for those of you that don't do this, speaking at the associations is a cheat code. Okay? They put the butts in the seat. They're constantly advertising the classes to get the butts in the seat and positioning me as an expert. Hey, here's a class, here's an expert. Here's a class, here's an expert. 8,000 realtors a week get an email with my ugly mug on it talking about my upcoming class. But what I didn't realize is that one of the things that led to my pain in 2022 is that speaking, which has been my mainstay for 20 years, that rug had been swept out from underneath me. First by COVID. Now, COVID hit Florida very differently than it hit the rest of the states. What's up, California? Okay? So we were shut down for a short while, and then right after we opened back up, way before you guys in California, the educational director of my local board, who I had a great relationship with, got fired and was replaced by somebody who said, anybody who's been speaking here a long time is no longer welcome. So I realized I needed to reinvent myself. So I drove 30 minutes north and I penetrated a new board, okay? And when you're teaching these classes, and guys, this is the greatest part of it. When you're teaching CE classes, they pay me $100 an hour to market myself to realtors. Now, I've been trying to get him to do classes since his first day in the business. And I realized I hadn't yet told him that he can make money doing it. And the second I told him that he could get paid to do it, shockingly, he breaks out of his mold and starts speaking.
People that have the CMPS certification, we can teach CE classes with that. So, you know, it's hard to get into a board, but not really. If you already have a class that's CE certified, you can just go to the board and tell them, hey, I can teach this class. If you time it just right and you do it right before the renewal, you're going to pack that class, even if they don't know who you are, because they need the hours anyways. And once you pack that class, they're going to want you back. That's how we started to talk into a bunch of boards that didn't really know who we were. So that worked. Now, we're doing this, we're teaching the classes, we're doing the thing, we're doing the volume. Life is getting a little better, a little less hard. But, you know, this has been my experience in the mortgage industry. It's been like this. It's been activities leads to loans, loans lead to no activities anymore, and then no loans lead to the valley of despair. The valley of despair because then you need to hire. And like Jeanette says, you know, that's tough, right? Not easy. So you either continue in that circle or you hire, you get a good team, you grow, but then you keep going back in that circle. So one of the things that we started to try was, how about we introduce VAs and automations to this whole thing? And once again, he thought it was a stupid idea.
Look.
That's him, by the way.
What I explained to him was that we can't use virtual assistants because that requires a lot of time. That requires a lot of specialized knowledge. And he said, Scott, you and I are not that smart and we're not that freaking important. And when I started to realize that we could break things down, that the traditional expensive solution of hiring people could be changed with virtual assistants and automations. And for anybody wondering, I am clearly the Batman on the right. There is no arguing that.
So we started to work with VAs. And look, we have VAs do a lot of stuff in our business, but the two that we want to highlight is we have a dialer now, because you know making calls suck. So instead of us having to make all the calls, we have a dialer. And look, this is what a typical week looks like for the dialer. Over 1,000 calls, He makes over 250 contacts every single week, and he registers over 30 people to webinars every single week. So that's the repetition that we get every single time. The other thing that we have the VA do is elevate what we bring to the table. Look, Neo does a phenomenal job at making sure that we are expressing logically why we are the best partners for our clients. But we also need to connect with them emotionally. And the way to connect with them emotionally is by making their experience theirs. So this is what our contract call presentation deck looks like. Every single time we get a contract, we put the picture, or the VA, we don't do anything, but we put the picture of the house that they're buying as the front page of the contract deck. They like that. They light up when they see that. And the second thing is, the VA puts all the important dates throughout the transaction, and we show it to them and we share it with them. So we try to personalize as much as we can, which is things that we are already doing with the help of the VAs.
Look, the reality is this, okay? The way to protect your margin in this business is to not get shopped, okay? When we get shopped, we get our butts kicked too. We are not unique from that. However, our goal is to not get shopped 80% of the time. And one of the ways we do that is by utilizing and leveraging emotional connection with people, okay? Now,
the other thing we do is automations, right? Because I don't want to be looking for the picture or anything like that. So I created on Monday.com, and look, ADM does a phenomenal job after the contract, but before that, and to communicate with our VAs, we do it all through Monday.com. And when we do it through Monday.com is, we have 50 internal automations that we send to the VAs with already the SOPs that tells them exactly how we want them to do things. That way we can scale up and scale down as we need to.
Look, don't sit here. Yeah. Don't sit here and act like you have this automation thing built out. When I first got him into the business, I said, bro, you got to build out Django before you get busy. You got to build out Django. You got to build out Django. The answer he gave me was so stupid. Do me a favor, just let everybody, what was your reasoning for not doing it?
I don't need a newsletter.
I don't need a newsletter, he tells me, okay? Now, to his credit, he went from thinking a CRM as a newsletter to building out Monday.com at a very kind of high way, or a very high level, okay? And he's done a great job with it. But then we started thinking about how do we take things personalized? Now, for those of you that don't know Edgardo, I'll tell you 4 facts about him. Number 1, born in Colombia, raised in Paris, came to America with dreams of playing for the Yankees. Imagine. A realtor refers him over to me, and the day after that, this video is sent to him. There's no audio. Man, that screws it up. Anyway, in this AI video, it references his actual journey. This is taking a great loan journey to a personalized loan journey, okay? Where we can take things and leverage VAs and automation. So when we put somebody into Monday.com, that form goes to the client. When the client fills out the form, it automatically goes to the VA and auto-populates the script that the VA dumps into the AI tool to issue the video and send it out to the client. It costs us no time and no money.
Look, it's not perfect. It can be better, but it's impactful enough so it's worth using it.
So about MSAs real quick.
All right, so 2 things that we learned from doing this. 1, we ended up having better margins, not because we spent less money, but because people shopped us less. And number 2, we started getting a lot of MSAs opportunities. Right now, we have 3 MSAs that together do $4 billion in sales, 5,700 transactions. And look, this is what we offer them, which is honestly exactly what Neo offers everybody anyways. The only difference is with the dialer and with the customization of being able to do content days every single month, we are solving for 2 problems that they have right now, which is fear of not bringing enough people to their industry because a lot of people are going to live with the lawsuit. And then number 2, we are able to help them with their bottom line. With the dialer, a lot of people, a lot of these companies have those lead share services, which are very profitable for them, but nobody's making those calls. Well, our dialer is just making calls 40 hours a week. So because of that, they came to us for this.
Look, I don't know about you. I come to these, like in closing, right? I come to these things and I look at people on stage and it seems like they have every I dotted and every T's crossed. Let me share with you guys the truth. We're a hot mess, okay? On the screen is unfortunately a partial list of all the stuff that we suck at or don't do at all in this business that we know we should do better or we should be doing, okay? And a lot of times Ed and I are walking around feeling an awful lot like Dumb and Dumber.
Look, it's funny, but it's true because, man, I wish I could just say like, like Josh Madden, like, oh, this was.
Thank you for allowing us to be part of it. And over the last 2 years, guys, thank you for staying true to your just cause. Because I can't imagine how difficult it's been. And I am honored to be in front of you and alongside you and with you on this journey. So look, feel free. Like Neo's all about, I've learned so much from growing with everybody. Swipe and adapt.
Make it better and share it back with us, please.
Yeah, please improve upon it. Scan the QR code, steal all of our stuff. Everybody, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Scott and Edgardo.